Hey, it's Jeff. I'm over here with Lance, and this is I guess this is a Freebird episode.
It's hard to say because we're not going to go on and on for hours, but it is just the two of us. The Freebird episodes might be transforming into smaller mini-sode type thing,
Evolving
into something else called like little 30-minute episodes, 45-minute episodes, hour episodes, which we're just trying to get you guys weekly content. Fulfill our promise to you.
weekly content.
So
this is a hashtag content bite from the two of us without
I like that. Yeah.
without Allie. So it may or may not be Freebird, but it is bird free. So we don't have to hear any bird stuff.
Bird as a free now. The fabulous bird freeze.
So what are we going to do in this quick 30 minutes that we got? We're going to go.
I had pitched the idea of Jeff, who knows a lot about local politics on the city and state level, telling me about it, who I just basically read headlines. And if somebody freaks out and gets caught with a prostitute or something, I'll hear about that. But any of the minutia, what I know about wrestling, Jeff knows about state and local politics. So I'm going to play the goofball, and he's assuming Brainiac role in this episode.
That's going to go badly.
So what I do know is that there's a governor's race coming up, and all the big guys are dropping out except for one.
Yeah. So, we just finished with the midterm, or we're almost finished with the midterm.
There's still some midterms lingering around
There's
out there.
lingering midtermers.
Hanging chads, literally and figuratively.
And as soon as everyone catches their breath from that, we're jumping right into next year's statewide Louisiana elections, which will be many, many offices, including every seat in the state house. And you get some statewide offices like attorney general.
Well, it would have been nice if they would have just lumped all that shit in with the midterm election when they knew that everybody was going to be at the polls anyway. So
yeah, but we're
next November. There's going to be a big Louisiana state election.
Yeah, we're on a different cycle.
Oh.
We're a little bit out of sync with the rest of the country.
Napoleonic code.
I don't think that explains it. No,
it's just Louisiana code.
We're just weird.
Yeah, like parishes and
we're like a year off.
Weird shit they do.
We do our governor's election, which also governor is next year.
Okay.
So it's in these odd number years. So you're used to the president being elected every 4 years, and you can count them easily because 04, 08.
Yeah, if you know simple arithmetic, your multiplication tables, you'll be able to figure out when the midterms were, when the presidential.
But then Louisiana's in these odd numbered years, and it's confusing to think about. 2015, and then 19, and then 19 plus 4 is 23, and then then your brain explodes because it's hard to do math that way.
I remember when Jindal got reelected, I found out about the whole election because I was in Rouse's and I looked, and they had a Times-Picayune at the time. They were printing newspapers back then. And I looked and I saw, like on the cover of the Times-Picayune, Jindal reelected. And I was like, holy shit, there was a governor's race yesterday. And it just completely the whole thing just missed me.
It felt like that to everyone.
It was like Landrew's second run, too, where nobody really cared.
Right.
They were like, this guy's getting it.
Right.
What is that guy doing these days, Jeff?
Bobby Jindal?
Yeah.
He's still writing op-eds for the Wall Street Journal will run him saying some stupid shit about how
Catholic values or Christian values?
Yeah, we need to be more civil in the age of Trump. And but he always says it in a way that kind of ends up endorsing every Trump policy at the same time.
But not Trump himself?
The way they do, the wormy thing.
Okay.
So,
because everybody's just like, fuck this dude. That guy, chaotic evil theory is in full effect. Like, if that guy was just got along with the, if he was lawful evil like the rest of the fucking GOP, then we would be in serious trouble as a country. Instead, he's chaotic evil, they're lawful evil, and they're not getting They're not doing as much as they could, although they're still doing plenty of bad shit. But if they were both on the same page, if we got a guy, it's almost good that Trump is in there because Pence could probably get in there and they could become the real evil galactic empire.
I mean,
it's like, you know how the empire, like Palpatine ran that shit.
Yeah.
Because if Vader got in there, shit would get all fucked up. Palpatine knew how to administrate.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to like my answer to that because it's going to be actually they are doing a lot of terrible things, and
but think of how much more terrible.
The Dancing Monkey show kind of keeps people's minds off of what's happening.
Pay
a
no
lot
attention to the man behind the. So
there's a lot of that. Yeah,
Trump is the big Oz that's
like you don't even see day to day, like, you know, how much land has been given away to oil companies, like what sorts of things are deregulated. It goes on and on.
Yeah, you know, hey, you got to hand it to Belichick or whatever, the GOP or Saban and them. You know, anyway, they're all part of it. It's all the same shit, isn't it? The GOP and Belichick and Brady and Saban. That's kind of all. They're the dickheads out there, right?
Is that right?
Dickheads who are fucking us over.
Sure, and then always away.
So
anyway, so the governor's race, right?
Yeah, what's happening?
The thing that we learned this week was Jeff Landry decided he's not going to run.
Okay.
Which surprised almost everybody. Well, yeah, it did surprise everybody because he's spent the last 2 or 3 years basically doing everything he can possibly do to raise his profile as being asshole number one in the state.
This is the guy that wanted to kill the fuck out of people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Him.
Yeah, so every now and then if there's a hot button issue that Jeff Landry smells that he can jump on television and yell about, he's going to do it. And he's going to not only yell about that issue, he's going to specifically criticize John Bel Edwards about it, slowly building his case.
And he was antagonizing him on the Twitter, from what I remember, about 2 months ago or something, about the death penalty.
Yeah,
he wanted what's your answer? What's your answer? He was being uncivil. Quite uncivil, I thought.
Sure.
He's out.
Yeah, he's out. So he's gonna run for attorney general instead. He's gonna run for re-election.
Oh, he can kill the fuck out of some people in that job. That's a more dangerous position for him.
But he is attorney general now.
Oh, okay.
So he's just going to run for re-election. Is what he's
think
going
of all
to
the
do.
people who are out there dying right now. Fuck.
But anyway, so it was kind of a surprise that he decided now that he's not going to do it. Although all the Republicans are kind of getting towards like crunch time because, like I said, it's time to do it now. We're done with the midterms.
We got to take this guy down.
It's time to do it's time to do the next election.
Which one of us is going to go in there and fight this guy? Why don't you do it, Jeff?
And you remember?
Why don't you do it, Steve? No, we're gonna send Johnny in there.
So you remember the last time around they did exactly the opposite thing, where you had
everybody wanted to get in there and kick this guy's out or take this shit.
That's exactly right. You had Vitter, but also you had Scott Angel and Jay Darden and a whole host of other Republicans who thought that they had, they wanted to be the guy. And so because of the way the election played out, where Vitter made the runoff with the Democrat, and Vitter was the most, I guess you could say, vulnerable person.
Absolutely vulnerable, yes.
Because people
looked good. No, nothing.
I mean, it turns out he
carried with him a legacy that had been thoroughly tarnished, right?
Right.
And that ended up costing him. Well, they fought a little war of attrition on their side. By the time the guy got there, he was so damaged that old John Bell slipped in there.
Yeah.
Oops.
So, yeah, it turns out a lot of people don't like David Vitter very much. Big shock. But one of the things that happened as a result of the acrimony that went on during the primary, some of the key Republicans in the runoff actually lined up with John Bell. Like Jay Darden actually works in the Edwards administration now because he endorsed him over Vitter after the primary election.
What do they call it? Reached across the aisle, so to speak?
If you can...
It's one of the few times that ended up working.
Right. If there's even such a thing in Louisiana, because everyone is so like there really is
Everyone's, even John Bell Edwards is
right. Until the last few years of like what's going on in the legislature, the party distinctions don't really mean a whole lot. There's just this white guy Louisiana conservative is on the state. That's our state level politics, or has been for a while. So it's kind of hard to
plantation
define
owner type fucking dudes who are, these guys are a little more lenient towards them.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are a little bit more crueler towards them.
I guess that's
basically they're all just modern day plantation owners. Sorry, John Bell.
That's a bit much, but
all
okay.
Right, well, I'm sure there's people out there who will be like, "Yeah, fucking right, Varg." I'm not going to commit to that statement.
Okay.
Yeah, I am.
So anyway, they're trying to go with the opposite strategy this year because the Republicans. There's signs that they're thinking ahead. A couple months ago, Landry himself was in the news saying, like all these other Republicans out there who are thinking about getting in, now is the time for y'all to get in or get out because there needs to be one of us. And I think when he made that statement, he was thinking, look, y'all get out of my way because I want to be
okay.
I want to be the guy.
Yeah.
But something changed.
It's the jury.
Something changed between then and now.
We don't know what that change was.
We don't know, but I have some ideas about what it is. But
okay, let's hear that.
Well, okay, so here's where this is going. Obviously, the only guy left that we need to hear from is John Kennedy.
Put down the bong. Put down the bong, John Kennedy?
Yeah,
what you been smoking?
The weed killer guy, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You remember him from that Senate race couple years ago.
Yes. Well, no, he said put down the bong during the Kavanaugh, wasn't that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but and since the Senate race, every day on TV, right, he has something folksy for you to chew on. That's true.
He's one of those guys.
I trust every Middle Eastern country about as much as I trust gas station sushi. I guess what I want is a cross between Socrates and Dirty Harry. You realize to many Americans right now that looks like we're giving Lindsay Lohan the keys to the minibar. Here's what everybody's been trying to tell you today, and I say this gently. Your user agreement sucks.
He's been, there's been speculation about him running, and he was one of the other Republicans that Jeff was trying to nudge out of the way. And it looks now like John is nudging Jeff out of the way, and he's expected to announce that he's running or not, like next week or by the end of the month.
John Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
So he hasn't announced yet.
No, but he has said
everybody cleared out of the way, and he's the only one left.
Yep. He said, I'm going to tell y'all if I'm in or out by December 1st.
How would you like to go on a road trip with him and Lindsey Graham?
No.
What would that be like? They're kind of the same guy.
No, they're not.
How about a long road trip to save your daughter? You have to go on this road trip with John Kennedy and Lindsey Graham.
Which one
or else your daughter is going to die.
Which one is the more insufferable?
See, that's the thing. You figure that out on the road trip.
I think
after 18 hours going down Highway 40.
I think that John would be more fun. I think he would be at least better at faking being your pal.
Well, yeah, he's from Louisiana.
Just with Graham, there's just this you can sense just the resentment. It's never that far away.
It's just right. You just brush a few leaves aside, and then there it is.
And he's probably going to explode.
Resentment. Oh, what is this in my pocket? Oh, it's resentment. So he's there. He's about to run.
Yeah, in all likelihood, it's going to be Kennedy running. There's only one other announced candidate. He's this contractor from Baton Rouge named Eddie Rispone. I can't even pronounce his name correctly.
Okay.
Nobody really knows him unless you know in Baton Rouge insider politics. He's a general contractor, and he's a lobbyist, and all the money people know him. Lane Grigsby's already endorsed him.
Okay, so general contractor. Fuck those guys. Lobbyist, fuck those guys. Money guy, fuck those guys.
Right.
That guy, who? No. Those are the three most untrustworthy occupations out there.
Right.
Not you, Josh Murphy. You're all right.
But he's the only other announced candidate.
So he's like the Manny Chevrolet Bruno or a
I wouldn't
Jesse
say
Ventura type.
Not down on that level of weirdness, but like he's the other guy.
Okay, he's the X Factor.
Yeah, he's like he'd be the John Kasich in this.
Who is he going to take votes from? Kennedy. He's going to siphon off some Kennedy votes.
It's more about like he's siphoning. He could siphon off money. Like I said, Lane Grigsby endorsed him, and I don't know if you know Lane Grigsby. He's another high-profile Baton Rouge contractor. He gives out money to Republicans left and right.
Okay,
he's one of the ones that they all go to when they want to run statewide. And he's already behind this Rispone guy.
What does he get back from that? Like contracts to build bridges and shit like that?
Yeah, the kind of thing. But in all likelihood, he's not really a serious candidate. Everybody's waiting on John, and John's probably going to run, and he's probably going to run with this clear field, unless the other possibility is Ralph Abraham, who's a congressman from North Louisiana, who you may or may not know who he is.
You lost me at North Louisiana.
He's probably like after seeing Landry get out and expecting Kennedy to get in, I suspect that Abraham's not going to get in, but I could be wrong about that.
All right.
But what I think is happening is, they've all coordinated. And I wouldn't be surprised if they've been coordinating under the tutelage of David Vitter, who...
Oh, I was going to ask you, what is this guy fucking do? Why doesn't this guy just jump out and give it one more go?
Because he's already lost to John Bell one time.
Okay.
And I think the second time it would be...
Again.
Yeah, it would be even funnier.
And what a toll it took on his family, too. That horrible election.
Yeah, I'm sure they're all in terrible suffering.
So you're saying that he's a puppet master?
I think so.
That he's got off the tractor. He's lacing them up, not for one more run, but he's going to train these guys. He's Rocky in the later movies. Rocky's not fighting in the ring, but he's training young upstarts.
I mean, none of them want to admit it, but they all listened to him a lot. And before the thing happened to him, he was the most powerful Republican in the state.
Yeah,
and
but he was a dick to everybody too. Right?
He was, but they were all afraid of him.
Now he's been clipped.
He's been humbled.
He's gelded, and so now it's just we don't have to deal with his fucking huge ego anymore. Now we can just deal with his brain. Now we can. Now he's suddenly more dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. And this is just speculation.
Yeah, that's fun.
But I think that would be my description of what I think is going on. But I do think that they're going to clear the field for Kennedy, and I think he's going to announce when he said he's going to in a couple weeks, and then it's going to be Kennedy and
John versus John.
John or John Bale.
That Kennedy guy seems like he could not win.
I think it would be.
It's not like John Bell is going to get his ass kicked.
So Kennedy says, and one of the reasons that people are one of the reasons I think he's made a closing argument amongst the Republicans is that he has a poll that shows that he would beat John Bell.
Okay.
And he's showing it to everybody. He talks about it every now and then. So
he shows his poll to everybody.
That's right. He's going around.
I got this poll here, y'all. You want to see my poll?
So
unsolicited poll pics. He's sending them out there.
So I think it's going to be harder for him than you'd think.
Harder for Kennedy?
I think it'll be harder for him. I think
there's nothing likable about him. He's got that paleness, like that sickly kind of paleness to him. Like he never goes outside. There's nothing good old boy about him.
No, but he affects that, and he plays up his, animatronic bear act or whatever it is he does.
His jug band.
Right. But it's not genuine, and I think that people recognize that. I think people recognize that he's kind of a phony. He's sharp.
That's deadly. If someone like suddenly just if there's something about you, an affectation that somebody just, especially rural people, because they're good at picking out phoniness and shit to a certain degree. I you know what? How did Allie say the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl?
How did she say it? Wait, hang on. I can tell you. That's not right.
The Saints are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
John Bell Edwards is going to get reelected. John Bell Edwards is going to get reelected.
Saints are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
John Bell Edwards is going to get reelected.
I can't make her shut up. Okay, there you go.
John Bell Edwards is going to get reelected.
Maybe. His strategy is to play it right down the middle.
Smart.
Maybe. I don't know if that's true. There's some reasons that to be upset with John Bell. But if most of those are reasons that a person like me, who is in the extreme minority in the state, would be upset with somebody. He signed the Blue Lives Matter bill. He signed a bill into law this year that makes protesting pipelines more of a criminal act. What's he doing? He's only agreed to ask for an $8.50 minimum wage. The modest one, right? The modest minimum wage.
Oh man, I wish we had that quote.
There's a ton of problems.
He showed his hand there, and $8 ain't shit.
And if we might use this to segue into the next topic, the other thing that he did this week was he said in the news that he would oppose any attempt by the city of New Orleans to ask the convention center to give us a larger share of the hotel motel tax.
And LaToya wants to use that for infrastructure, right?
That's her plan. Well, insofar as she has a plan, that's the plan. Yeah, that's her idea.
He said, "Fuck that."
He said no.
Because that money goes up to the state.
Well, it goes to a couple of different state agencies that have to do with New Orleans tourism, the Louisiana Stadium or Superdome Commission.
Shit in their realm that they could take and siphon up to Baton Rouge.
Yeah, well, that's not exactly how it works. It's more like the governor has appointment, power over these boards, and they can do things with that money. Specifically, in this case, what he said was he's more concerned about the bonded indebtedness that the convention center is holding, and people don't really know what that means.
Right? What does that mean?
This hotel they want to build is the thing that they're building on the land, the land that would have been phase 4 of the convention center.
So that field over there where the Mardi Gras floats get parked,
sort of, yeah,
on the riverside of Tchoupitoulas?
Yeah, on the uptown side of the bridge.
Okay, right.
Yeah, where the convention center ends.
They want to build a hotel there.
Yeah, they've voted to build a hotel there.
Oh, okay.
And they want to use convention center surplus funds in order to subsidize it.
So taxes that conventions who are coming here pay to have their convention here.
No, the hotel motel tax that
people who
stay in New
Bourbon
Orleans,
Street,
right, pay to the convention center that they have control over. They want to use that money to give to Daryl Berger and Joe Yeager to develop a hotel and condos and semi-convention center-owned hotel is what they're pitching.
Okay.
And people have been critical of this, obviously, because
sounds like more Fulton Street type fucking development,
something like that,
fake New Orleans type shit. Stay by the river. Don't get robbed. You don't give money to infrastructure over here or pay the police or whatever. You trip and fall in a pothole, or you stay in the quarter. You try and get that authentic experience. Your ass gets fucked up. No, I don't want to do that anymore. I'd rather stay in this fake facsimile of New Orleans that they've built on the riverside here.
It's about right.
Right, well, it's smart for them. It sucks for the rest of us.
It does. And people are highly critical of that because it's a complete encapsulation of how inequality works in New Orleans, where, the people who work in the tourism industry for mostly non-union jobs, low wage jobs, low benefit jobs, not a lot of job security. If you were, there are people who make bank working as bartenders in certain positions. There's people who make bank as waiters.
Sure, but they have to manage all their shit.
That's right.
Yeah, they're walking home with hundreds of dollars like in cash in their pocket and ones.
The ones who are succeeding at it, even. But
even the ballers.
But the bulk of these employees, they're it's very tentative, and
$8 an hour, and then another $25 a night, maybe in tips, because of the kitchen paid them out or some shit like that.
No health care.
No health.
all the whole down the line, the whole thing, and that is the economic engine that drives the city and generates all these profits for the people who own these businesses and the people who own the hotels, and generates this tax revenue that the convention center has control over and can't be used for public purposes.
I want to say the Dirty Boys pay that hotel motel tax. I want to say we pay some little fucking tiny little French Quarter tax that might go into that. I don't know. I'll look that up.
It's not a hotel motel
tax.
tax,
the tourist industry,
but yeah, you do pay. You pay something.
French
it's not
Quarter
a hotel
parking
motel.
fee or some shit like that. It's weird that they're building a hotel when Airbnb is fucking blowing up too. And there's all these fucking there's all these high rises that could easily be transformed into hotels and shit too. Because the money's in getting the bulldozers out and digging and buying a bunch of drywall and shit. That's where the money's at. You don't want to fucking renovate an existing building because that's fucking, there's no money in that. It's a huge pain in the ass. And you got to bring in people who have to work within an existing infrastructure. Better to just fucking build a whole new cheap stupid thing.
Well, they are going to build a whole new cheap stupid thing.
Yeah, of course they are. There's big fucking monoliths. There's two that I know of. The World Trade Center and that fucking thing. You know what I'm talking about. Thing that looks like what the future used to look like. The one over there, Plaza. What's it called?
Oh yeah, the Plaza Tower.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing's in there.
Nothing's in there.
Nobody's in that building
it's
right now.
It's a perfectly good building, I'm assuming.
That's like the last, money pit, right? There's Jazzland, and there's the World Trade Center, which is getting done.
They say it's getting done.
There's Charity, which is about to get done, or at least they have a deal for it to get done.
Oh, what happened there?
That's a whole other story, but there's a deal for Charity to get redeveloped. That Plaza Tower, there's still no plan for, but those are the big four money pit things, right?
But Jazzland has always been there.
Yeah.
That's the that's a certain X factor. Yeah. Well, I would like to see those things because they seem like they mar the skyline more than. I mean, I just don't want to see any more new development or new buildings before the old buildings that are still sitting there.
Okay,
something happens to them.
Yes,
that's just my personal preference.
That's an aesthetic preference, and it's a good one. It's a valid one. But the political issue is more what I was describing, where people feel like, the fruits of their labor aren't being, the money isn't being used to better everyone's life. It's not being used to fix the housing
French Quarter safer.
Or to fix the housing problem, or to provide benefits for people, make RTA better, fix the schools. There's lots of things that can happen.
It's like they're creating these safe zones for rich folks and cordoning off hey, you go out there, it's your own.
Right.
You're taking your own risks.
Right. And so LaToya's idea was to use or to ask for some of that money to fix the mess at Sewage and Water Board.
Hey, man, break me off a little something,
right,
y'all.
That's right. And so John Bell is stepping in the way of that. And
fuck that.
What was the other thing I was going to say about that? Oh, God, it's a long story because John Bell mentioned the bonded indebtedness, which is another thing that people don't understand about this, is that the reason that the convention center currently is sitting on a larger pile of cash than it would be even under ordinary circumstances is that it has an allocation that services debt on bonds they took out specifically to build Phase 4 of the convention center, which was something that happened, I think, in 1999.
Oh, Jesus.
And in 2008, they decided, well, that's never going to happen. We're never going to build that Phase 4.
How much money are we talking about just sitting off there somewhere? Millions and millions of dollars?
It's a significant amount of money.
Oh, Jesus.
But in the time since 2008, there's this gray area. They still have these bonds, and so they have this cash, and they're servicing them. But it's legally questionable as to whether or not this needs to exist. They really were supposed to just retire the bonds, but they haven't done that. And so they're looking for places to put this cash. And I think
that fulfills the original purpose of it or agreement that
they can use as favors to people. And in this case, the hotel, if they're using that cash in for the hotel, that's specifically going to Daryl Berger and to Joe Yeager and these people who already have all the money. So that's another aspect of this that people don't quite understand. And for John Bell to specifically say, "Oh yeah, well, they have this bonded indebtedness," that's part of the lie. It's kind of part of the dishonesty of it. Mm-hmm. So it's another strike against him.
But then there's no alternative because he's our
no
guy.
Anybody who beats him is going to be the same and worse. So.
Right. We New Orleans as a city and our voting segment has no other choice but to go with John Bell Edwards no matter what.
I think there are going to be opportunities to issue as many complaints as we possibly can. Get in John Bell's face about some stuff. There isn't any choice. There's no other choice but to probably end up
abstain. You could. This is where that whole "hey, go out and vote, make sure your vote counts" thing. You could be like, "Hey, John Bell, you need to pull New Orleans, and we'll just fucking stay the fuck home since it's not a fucking midterm election."
Well,
we'll all just stay home.
Voting is just one tool. Probably people are going to have to vote for John Bell again. But that's
well, I'm gonna put this out here right now. Consider abstaining unless John Bell switches directions on this what is it called? Indebtedness?
The convention center stuff.
What's the phrase? Indebtedness.
The bonded indebtedness.
Bonded indebtedness. Indebtedness.
I did see LaToya say that she plans to meet with him, and then she said something about, John Bell would never turn his back on New Orleans, and I feel that some like collaboration, some good timey stuff. She said, so she's optimistic about being able to talk him down.
Well, if LaToya says so, it must be true. Go ahead, LaToya.
Anyway,
runoffs is our last thing.
Okay, so we'll do that.
Last episode on a 2 votes to abstain, we endorsed. Who the fuck did we endorse?
So what happened was you and Allie got together. You and Allie got together and decided to vote for Gwen Collins Greenup.
We didn't vote for her. We endorsed her.
You endorsed her.
We could withdraw that endorsement at any time and vote for someone else. We probably won't. She seems like a real go-getter.
Yeah, we played her ad. She's all about next levels.
Yeah. She's about the next level.
She's taking us to the next level.
Are you not for the next level? Depends on what it is.
Depends on what's up there.
You're right.
I mean, sometimes you get to the next level and it's like, it's the easy one where you can just slide through and pick up all the coins.
Right.
And then sometimes the next level is just like,
a boss that you can't beat,
yeah.
or a little platform that is just impossible.
Oh God, I hate that shit.
A little thing that jumps at your face. I'm with you on that.
So I don't really know what's up there.
How about now? You went and saw her speak?
Well, yeah, I will say this. I went last night to the Power Coalition and Vote held a candidates forum where they invited...
Vote is a group?
Mm-hmm.
I knew it.
They
bold, gold, vote, shine. That's a New Orleans political group contest.
They invited Gwen and Kyle Ardwin. They invited all the candidates. That would be Gwen Collins Greenup and Kyle Ardwin, who are running for Secretary of State. They invited Omar Mason and Marie Williams, who are running in the for Civil District Court. But only Omar Mason and Gwen Collins Greenup showed up. So their opponents weren't there.
Okay.
So it was just kind of a Q&A with those
this is
two.
Statewide? Or for a state office, but it's a local.
One is a state office, and the other is a local office.
Okay.
But it was a good opportunity for me because all I knew about her was that she was just poorly funded, first time candidate from Clinton,
possible non-consensual Republican operative,
or it could be virtually anything. And when you find somebody like that, your first thought is, oh my God, is this a flake, or is this somebody who doesn't know what she's talking about, or is out of her depth, or whatever?
Somebody who's like, I'm going to run for office.
Right. So I didn't know what to expect, so I went to see that, and I got to say, she is not that. She actually, she's a lawyer. She's got a lot of experience. She knows the turf very well. They asked her some questions about some of the stuff that's going on in Georgia and Florida, and like the value of protecting people's right to vote. And in the next couple of years, the state's going to be looking at upgrading their voting equipment, and what does that mean, and how do you train people to deal with that? And she had some good things to say about that. Like she talked a lot about her aspiration to get 100% participation.
True democracy.
Which is a little out there, but...
Well, you got to set the bar high so you can get to 75 or 50.
Anyway, she knew what she was talking about. It was very grounded. Even the things that she said she wanted to do, like they asked her about things like automatic voter registration, and she spent 20 minutes talking about how hard that would be to implement, but then said that she would support it, So it's
so
not...
she laid the challenges out.
Yeah.
Of which there were many. How hard was it to implement? Made sense to you?
Yeah. No,
so she was just like, look, this shit's very challenging, but
my impression...
Yeah,
my impression was this is someone who's thinking seriously about everything. So if you had any concerns about, is this just some nut? That's not what's going on. So the good news is
that is a real danger in
it is.
American
politics. It totally is.
Is this person a real nut?
I mean, that's very good news because of all the problems that we talked about with Kyle Ardoin last time. He's probably culpable in, or at least, has some culpability in the sexual harassment thing that knocked his boss out. He's
right.
He's already fouled up one.
He's who she's running against.
Yes, he's already fouled up one round of bidding on voting machines. He's
a real nut.
He's gone full nut in the last couple of weeks because he's now running this campaign where he is specifically talking about illegals voting, and we got felons voting and all kind of other. The media and he in Baton Rouge identified a situation where one specific person, the mayor of New Roads, or the ex-mayor of New Roads, was allowed to vote even though he had been on probation, and Ardoin and WBRZ jumped on this, and they got on TV and they talked about how there needs to be an investigation, and this is probably the governor's fault, and just on and on and on. But it turns out he's completely wrong in that they're actually the guy hadn't forfeited his right to vote. He just wasn't on the rolls, and so he had to fill out a provisional ballot. Okay. And so it was just a big lie that he made a big deal out of. But this is the point. My point is that he's going that direction with it. Like, whereas Collins Greenup is talking about protecting your right to vote, Ardoin is already on the train of, the various tools that Republicans are using to suppress votes.
Do you think that maybe nutty stuff works well in a election where most of the people are going out to vote, like the midterms, and maybe less so on an election when the fuck is this election?
December 8th.
December 8th. Well, so basically nobody, it's going to have a very low turnout.
Right.
And the people who are going to turn out are people who know their shit, probably, basically. They're going to be people who be like, who even know that there's an election this day. So don't you think maybe nutty shit probably is something for your CNN and your Fox News watchers, your masses, and you need to be a little bit more nuanced.
I don't know if
less nutty shit when you have an election like on a December 8th.
I don't know if nuanced is the word. I think it's more you need to be someone who is able to turn out your voters. If you have an organization that can activate
a bunch
voters,
of nutty people, how are we going to get the nutty people out on December 8th?
Well, that's one way to do it. It's just by exciting random people. But another way to do it is by being tied into the organizations that have engaged people that they can count on to call you. We have a list of people we can call, and they'll go out and
your
vote.
Bold, your golds, your
what have you, whatever. And one theory about Gwen.
Unites.
One theory about Collins Greenup's having made the runoff is that she did spend some time talking to churches and different people.
Oh, there she goes.
So
there you go.
So there's reason to believe that she's got a fighting chance. But if you talk to a lot of the like preeminent Democrats around town, around the state, they seem to be pessimistic. I heard J.P. Morrell specifically on the Lens podcast last week talking about
The what?
You know, the Lens.
I know them, but
Yeah.
they're what?
They have a little podcast. Have you heard it?
No.
Yeah.
Is it funny?
It's
Do they have a jive wire?
no. No,
Do
it's
they
not
make
fun.
jokes? Are there Star Wars references?
I mean, funny things happen, but I don't think it's intentional.
I wonder
But
how many patrons they got. Motherfuckers.
they're not.
Get to 52 episodes and then we'll talk. The Lens. How do you call it? Are they the Lens? They're not Lens.
I don't know, but there was this time. There was a period of time where the Gambit was calling itself the Gambit.
Yeah, and it goes back and forth on that, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
they were Gambit.
I
then
got
they
me
were
a Gambit. I got me a the Gambit. You got the Gambit or I got a Gambit?
now they're the Advocate.
Now they are the
So-
Advocate. They have a podcast.
They do.
Is Kevin Allman on it?
No,
Well, why the fuck don't
it's,
they put him on
The
it?
Advocate has a podcast though. It's Gordon Russell, and he just
All right.
has a little
He's a sort of a friend of the show, huh? He's
maybe
a friend of Rising Tide.
he's
on.
yeah.
If you're a friend of the
Whatever.
Rising Tide, the Rising Tide. I called it the Rising Tide.
So let's talk about other people's podcasts. No, the point is that I heard J.P. Morrell talking about it's set in stone, according to him, that in a statewide race, the Democrat is going to have 30% of the vote, and that's the ceiling. And there's nothing you can do about it. And everybody might as well just, go home or choose something else to do with their time.
Oh, it sounds like he's mailing it in. He's lost the fire.
It sounds. I mean,
Sounds like Sean Payton, during those years after the suspension.
I don't think he means it that way, but I mean that's the impression you get from hearing him talk about it. So
I can't see any other motivation for saying some shit like that.
I don't know. It doesn't sound good for John Bell if he believes that. But
Yeah.
anyway, we are at.
Hey, look, guys. Something that we have criminally neglected to mention since April is that we started a Patreon, and we said, go ahead and go there, and y'all, give us money. But we ourselves seldom went there. And what happened in that time is that y'all went there and y'all gave us some money. And since then, we have developed, or we've garnered, or accrued.
I think received, been saddled with.
We have patrons now.
Oh my God!
And we're going to make a point to mention them in every episode, as many as we can. And if there gets to be too many, we'll sort out. We'll obviously put a hierarchy up.
Okay.
And our continuous patrons are somebody named Robert Prin. You know this gentleman?
Congratulations, Robert Prin.
Robert Prin.
You're at the top of Varg's list in his notebook.
You're an amazing person, and you do good in this world, my friend. And you're going to get some good fortunes in your fortune cookies in the future, man. The next person is, everybody knows him. He's who Tim and them is named for. Mr. Timothy Ruppert,
I don't know who
monthly contributor to us.
I don't know who that is.
He's a wise man who builds infrastructure wisely. Somebody named Chris Bloom. You know this gentleman?
Hey, Chris Bloom, congratulations. You have won a mention again. Just that's all these people are getting right now, right?
Yeah.
Just mentions.
Well, and they're, getting weekly content because we are fulfilling our promises.
Such as me rambling about politics.
But there's two of them that we don't even know who they're not our friends.
Okay.
This is like organic.
We're getting there.
Thank you, Chris Bloom, for not knowing us that we know of. We probably,
I know these people.
You do?
Kind of.
Oh, okay. Well, are any of them Republican operatives?
Not yet.
Okay. How about Ray?
He might be. That guy, you never know. You never know what's up with him. I got a lot of suspicions.
Well, we're going to say it's from the entire Ira Ray family, including young Henry Lee Ray, and we thank him.
Mary
These
Pat?
people have been giving for months, and we haven't congratulated them or said even so much as thank you. In fact, last week I called Tim out for not contributing, and then he called me out back. So,
Oh, good. At least you're getting call outs. It's good.
And then lastly, a man named Super Deformed, and I'm assuming he's like an elephant man, just listens in a room where he's covered up all the time. He's not deformed. He's super.
I think you've met this person. I think you know who it is.
Yes, I have. So thank you to all our patrons, and we're going to do our best to give you all good content. And if you keep giving, then there won't be any mattress ads in our podcast, because we know we got those out there. Always, you can always hit there's money in the mattress ads.
Well, on the other hand, I really am looking. I'm in the market for a mattress soon. So if anyone has a hookup, just so I can get a free one. That's basically all I want. It's just a free mattress. We'll talk about that.
Well, I know they ship them to you.
I'm the one selling out here. That's the unusual.
That is
thing.
weird.
So
that is.
But I really do need that. So.
Yeah. Okay. And Jeff also needs a new computer, and Allie has been paying all of our server fees for months and months, and the podcast owes her money. Also, Urban.
The Saints are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
I mean, she's saying that shit for you guys.
That's some Nostradamus type shit right there. Also, Urban South Brewery, we're drinking some Vietnamese coffee stout tonight. It's a luscious Vietnamese style coffee stout brewed with locally roasted coffee and lactose sugar. So, Urban South, hey, if you want to give us free beer, we're not going to say no. And you guys are a fine local company.
Yeah,
have done nothing wrong.
No, they're. I don't know anything wrong about Urban South has ever done incorrectly. As far as I know, they're a perfect corporate citizen. They community focused people. They're very good public relations, very good customer service people.
All the time,
the best. So again, they haven't given us anything yet, but this is the kind of thing that they could expect.
It's got to be coming our way.
Sure,
and we'll review your beer and. On the podcast, and certainly drink the fuck out of it. We like the Vietnamese coffee stout, although what Jeff and I are really looking for in any type of beer other than Miller Lite is for it to taste different than other beers of its variety. Like what is different about this stout than the others? So help us out with that. Maybe send a brewer over or something. We'll talk to him.
All right, so that's all the pitching, right? You have any pitching to do?
Yeah, that's it.
So we said we were going to do 30 minutes, and we're actually coming up on 50.
Okay, so well, not too bad.
Before we get out of here, because this is the one for this week, Saints and Eagles.
Oh, I know. I saw that you predicted that they were going to lose, and I'm kind of with you on that because the Eagles have something to prove because they won the Super Bowl and they've not really lived up to expectations from that.
Yeah, they're in that hangover year where, and when you're in the Super Bowl hangover year, the thing about it is that you don't really tank all the way. You continue to struggle throughout the year, and something happens that you might make it back, but you don't.
It's a mental struggle.
Yeah, as
much as a physical one. So to knock the Saints off would be something that they feel would legitimize them a little more. And we're coming off a huge blowout. We're coming off a lot of big victories. So we have to come back down to earth at some point. That said, I still think we're going to win.
There you go.
Let's say 24-17.
It's a low-scoring game for the Saints game. I think I had 31-20 Eagles. And the only reason I have that is because, Armstead's out and all the things you said about Philly, kind of this is their last chance.
It seems perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But Jeff's wrong so often on his predictions. Once he said that, I was like, well, now there's hope for us.
There you go. I'm here to give you hope. Okay. So anyway, did we have anything else for this one?
That's it.
All right. We're gonna shut it down here after just one short hour of nonsense. So
not bad.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch up next time.